You're in group 34. The terminal is all fluorescent light and floor tape and the smell of carpet cleaner, and you've been standing for an hour with a lanyard around your neck. On the lanyard is a card. White. Plastic. Your name printed small, in a font nobody chose to be beautiful. It's the cheapest thing they could laminate. A voice comes over the speaker. It doesn't say your name. It says a number. Not yours yet. You shift your weight to the other foot. 20 feet away, there's a rope. Behind the rope, a short line of people are walking. Not waiting. Walking. Straight up a separate gangway, past a crew member who's smiling at each of them like she's been expecting them personally. One of them has a card, too. You can't see the color from here, but you can see how fast the rope opens for it. Then the speaker again. Another number. Still not yours. You paid for this. 10 months, a little off every paycheck, for a room you haven't seen and weren't allowed to pick. The website called it a guaranteed cabin, which is the polite way of saying they'll put you wherever's left. You said yes, because it was the number you could afford, and the number was the only thing about you the system actually knew. That's the thing nobody tells you before your first cruise. A cruise ship isn't a vacation. It's the entire class system, welded to a hull, floating. 18 decks of it. And the deck you sleep on was decided the second your card printed. The speaker crackles. Group 34. Finally. You pick up your bag. Level 1. $0. You don't have money. You have a ticket, which is a different thing. It's the proof of a year of not buying other things. The card around your neck is white because white is free. Every color costs more, and you are the base model. You reach the gangway. A crew member holds a scanner. You lift the card. It beeps. She looks at the screen, and the screen tells her exactly who you are before she looks at your face, which she does, briefly, with a smile that's real for about a second and a half and then resets, because there are 400 more of you behind you, and the smile has to last all afternoon. Welcome aboard, she says. She says it the way you say a word you've said 400 times. Your cabin is on deck 2. You didn't know ships had a deck 2 for guests until now. It's below the waterline. There's no window because there's nothing to see, just hull, and beyond the hull, the dark. The room is the size of a parking space. 2 beds, a strip of floor, a bathroom where you can touch both walls at once. At night, you hear the anchor chain settle and a low engine hum that never fully stops, and you learn to sleep inside it. Everything on the ship is technically available to you. The pools, the shows, the buffet. But the buffet at noon is a scrum. 300 people and not enough tongs. And by the time you reach the good tray, it's empty, and a crew member is wheeling out more with a face that isn't unkind, just tired, just processing. The card gets you through your cabin door and nowhere special. You try one deck up, a glass door, a quieter pool. It isn't locked. You just feel, standing in the doorway, that it isn't for you. Nobody says so. Nobody has to. The chairs are all reserved with towels and nobody moves. Here's what they never tell you at level 1. The ship isn't ignoring you. Ignoring takes effort. The ship is processing you, and indifference at that scale looks exactly like cruelty. It's just cheaper. You're not a guest here. You're occupancy. Level 2, $5,000. Not rich, just the version of not rich that has a little saved. You booked earlier, chose a cabin instead of taking the one assigned, and paid for the thing that at this level feels like a luxury, a window. The card is still white. The scanner still makes the same beep. The crew member at the gangway greets you the same way, because at this level, nothing about you has changed in their system. You've just bought a slightly better box, but the box has a window now. Deck 5. You wake up, and there's the sea, gray in the morning and impossibly blue by 10, and you understand for the first time why anyone does this. You didn't buy the ocean. Everyone on the ship has the same ocean. You bought the right to look at it without leaving your bed. Dining is assigned. A table for 8 in the main dining room. Second seating, 8:15, with strangers who become the people you nod to for a week. The food is good, genuinely, and the waiter learns your name by night 3, and it feels like being known until you notice he's learned everyone's name, because that's the job, and warmth at this level is a service included in the fare. You still hit the buffet crush at noon. You still see the glass door one deck up, the quieter pool, the loungers that are always somehow taken. Your card still doesn't open it. You moved from deck 2 to deck 5, from no window to a window, and it felt like a promotion. From up there, behind the glass, it isn't even visible as a difference. The same ship that put you below the waterline last time has now sold you a rectangle of daylight and called it an upgrade. And it was 1. That's the trick of level 2. The gap above you didn't shrink. You just got a nicer view of it. You're not invisible anymore. You're just visible enough to sell the next thing to. Level 3, $40,000. Now there's a door in your cabin that leads outside. Your own door, to your own square of railing. 11 decks up. A balcony. It runs maybe $35 a night more than the window cabin. And it changes the whole trip. Because now the ocean isn't a picture. It's air. You drink your coffee out there at 7 with nobody around. And for a few minutes, the ship feels like it's yours. The card is still white, but something small has shifted. When you scan in at the specialty restaurant, the one that costs extra, the one deck 2 never books, the host glances at your cabin number and the glance lasts a beat longer. You're in a balcony. You're someone who pays for the extra. The system files that. The same crew that processed you at the gangway now upsells you, gently. A wine pairing. A private shore excursion instead of the crowded bus. A photo package. The offers find you now, slipped under the balcony door on nice paper, because a balcony guest is a spender, and the ship has decided you're worth a pitch. You take one of them. The excursion. It's wonderful. And on the tender back, you notice a different boat, smaller, faster, half empty, pulling up to a separate dock while your group waits in the sun for the next shuttle. Someone on that boat has a card that isn't white. Level 3 is where you stop being occupancy and start being a wallet. It feels like respect. It's appetite. You don't get treated better here. You get marketed to better. That's the first door money opens, and it opens onto a longer hallway. Level 4, $150,000. You book a mini suite, more room, a real chair, a bathtub. But the space isn't the point anymore. The point is the small card tucked in your welcome folder, printed with a phone number and one word. Concierge. You dial it the first night, half expecting a hold cue. Someone picks up on the second ring and calls you by name. You ask about a dinner reservation the app swore was full. It isn't full for you. It's handled in 90 seconds. No hold music, no line. Your card is a different shade now. Not white, a deep blue with a thin band. It means something to the crew. When you scan at the gangway coming back from port, the beep sounds identical to you, but the crew member reads the screen and steps slightly aside, and you realize you didn't wait. There was a line. You just weren't in it. The same ship that told you it'd be 40 more minutes in a fluorescent terminal now keeps a person whose entire job is making sure you never wait for anything again. Priority tender. Priority boarding. A quiet deck that, it turns out, was always there. You just needed the card that reads as let them up. At level 4, you learn the rope was never about capacity. There was always room behind it. The rope exists so that crossing it can be sold. You're not being served faster. The line just stopped applying to you. Level 5, $750,000. You book a suite in the part of the ship most passengers don't know exists. A ship within the ship. Its own deck, its own pool, its own restaurant, behind a door that won't open for a standard card. Same vessel, same ocean. A wall. Your card is gold now, or as close to gold as plastic gets. You scan it at that door and it doesn't just beep. It unlocks. The people inside are the same people who were on the tender that pulled up to the private dock. You're one of them now. The pool up here has empty loungers at noon because there are 40 guests behind this door and 300 crowding the buffet on the other side of it, one deck down where you slept your first time. The staff-to-guest ratio flips. Down there, it's a scrum. Up here, a server knows your drink by day 2 and sets it down before you sit. The same crew that couldn't refill the buffet fast enough for you at level 1 now stands ready for 40 people who mostly aren't asking for anything. The same ocean rolls past both decks. The difference you paid $750,000 for isn't the water. It's the wall, and how few people are standing on your side of it. That's what they were selling the whole time, not the sea. Everyone gets the sea. Distance from the people one deck down. Up here, you finally understand the buffet. It was never broken. The crowding is the product. It's the thing your suite exists to escape. You're not on a better cruise. You're on the same cruise, behind a door built to make it feel like a different one. Level 6, $3 million. The owner's suite, bigger than most apartments, up top, with a wraparound balcony and a name on the door instead of a number, and a butler. One person, assigned to you, who unpacked your bags before you reached the room because your preferences were in the system before you arrived. You don't scan your own card here. Doors are opened for you. When you come back from port, there's no gangway line at all. A crew member is waiting at the bottom with your name already in her mouth, not read off a screen, rehearsed, because the ship knew who was in the owner's suite before it left dock and briefed the team. The captain invites you to dinner, not a table, his table. The same captain whose voice was an anonymous announcement to you at level 1 now shakes your hand and remembers where you're from. The same ship that assigned you a windowless box on deck 2, that never once said your name, now says it before you can. That's the whole reversal, standing at the bottom of a gangway in a white uniform, smiling a smile that doesn't reset. At level 6, the card stops being a pass and becomes a signal. It doesn't open your doors. It tells everyone else how hard to smile. You're not a guest they're serving. You're a guest they're managing. Level 7, $20 million. You stop booking cruises. You buy a residence, a private apartment aboard a ship that never docks for long, that circles the world year after year, and you live on it. It's yours. The crew isn't staff you meet for a week. They're your household. They turn over slowly, and they know your grandchildren's names. There's no card to scan, because there's no line you could ever be in. You don't board. You're already home. The concept of a gangway queue, of a boarding group, of a number read over a speaker, it belongs to a different species of person. The kind you used to be, standing in fluorescent light, watching a rope. The ship reshapes around you. A chef adjusts a menu because you mentioned a dish once. A wall of your residence opens to the sea on a track built for you. The same vessel that sold 300 strangers a rectangle of daylight and called it an ocean view now treats the ocean like a thing that belongs to your living room. The same institution that processed you as occupancy now organizes itself around your comfort as a standing fact of its existence. You don't visit the sea anymore. You keep it. Level 8, $100 million. You don't join a cruise. You take the whole ship, or you skip the ship entirely and step onto your own. Charter the vessel, and there are no other passengers. The buffet crush, the boarding groups, the rope, gone, because there's no one left to sort. A crew of 900 serves you and the 12 people you brought. The same ship that stacked 18 decks of strangers by how much they paid now empties every deck because one person paid for silence. Or you own the yacht, and the cruise line becomes a thing that happens to other people, a business you might buy the way you'd buy a car. The gangway, the scanner, the white card, the 40-minute wait. You can make all of it vanish for anyone because you own the thing that made it exist. The same institution that decided who you were the second your card printed now does whatever you say, because the card was never the point. The card was just how they read the money. And now the money reads back. You're not a passenger. You're the reason the ship is empty. Go back to the terminal, the fluorescent light, the floor tape, group 34, a white card on a lanyard, a rope 20 feet away, and a voice reading numbers that aren't yours. That was the whole video, standing still. Everything after it was the same ship, the same ocean, the same crew, holding the same scanner, listening for the same beep. Nothing about the vessel changed at any level. Deck 2 and the owner's suite float on the identical water, ride the identical swell, watch the identical sunset. The engine hums the same under all of it. The only thing that ever changed was the color of the card in your hand and how fast the crew could read it. White, and you wait. Gold, and the door unlocks. No card at all, and you're already home. That's what a cruise ship is. Not a vacation. A machine for sorting people by what's next to their name, then charging each of them for distance from the ones below. It didn't treat you badly at the bottom and well at the top. It treated you exactly the way it always does. It read the card, and it gave you precisely the ocean you paid for. You always had the sea. Everyone on every deck has the same sea. What you were buying, the whole way up, was the wall. And the wall was never between you and the water. It was between you and the people one deck down.